Morning. Morning. Welcome to the stream. I'm baking bagels this morning. I've been up since 3. Just getting started. Just had to do a few things before I started. Yeah, bagels are good. They're one of the few things that are funner to bake than to eat. Oh, my name rubbed off. I need to go put my name on it. That's better. My name on there. Hello, welcome to the stream. welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning. World First Aid Day. Is it? I didn't know that. World First Aid Day. The normal guy. Welcome to the stream. I'm hoping with my title today that I'll get trolled by some Trump supporters, but no bagels. I want to be trolled by Trump supporters. Broke one of the boards this morning. Has anybody seen the new Michael Moore documentary? I like Michael Moore. He's a good guy. No, yeah. Yeah, no. I'm sort of nostalgic for the days of George W. Bush. Compared to Trump, he wasn't half a bad president, actually. At least he was like a little bit civil. Trump has no civility at all. No humility, like I don't know how somebody like that gets elected as president. I just don't know. I would never cast a vote for that man, ever. Morning. Morning all. So I had help one of my coworkers unload his car. Anybody know anything about dogs? I'm thinking about getting a dog, and the breed is Plot Hound. Wondering if anybody knows anything about the breed. It's a 6-week-old Plot Hound. That's what I'm looking at. Thinking about adopting it. It's apparently sort of mouthy, and it's an alert barker, so I don't know. We'll see. I have roommates, so I don't know if I can get a dog that... I need a dog that's fairly quiet. Hamlin Towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover City. How much is steak? I don't know. We don't sell steak here. Steak. We make bagels. We put Montreal smoked meat on the bagel. That's the closest thing we have to steak here. I don't know why you're craving steak at this time of day though. Canada, yeah, I agree. Montreal style bagels is the way to go. We know bagels, that's for sure. We know bagels best. Those are nice. Need a little bit longer though. Nice. Nice. Can you get some more bagels? bagels. Oh, hello all. I lost a bagel. Fell in the trough. Hamlin Towns in Brunswick, my famous Hanover city, the river Weser deep and wide washes its wall on the southern side. A pleasanter spot you've never spied. But when begins my ditty, almost 500 years ago, to see the townsfolk suffer so from vermin was a pity. Rats, they fought the dogs and killed the cats and bit the babies in the cradles and ate the cheeses from the vats and licked the soup from the cook's own ladles, split open the kegs of salted sprats, made nests in men's Sunday hats, and even spoiled the women's chats by drowning out their speaking with shrieking and squeaking in 50 different sharps and flats. At last the people in a body to the town hall came flocking. "'Tis clear," cried they, "our mayor is a naughty, and as for our corporation, shocking, to think we buy gowns lying the adults who can't or won't determine what's best to rid us of our vermin. You hope because you're old and obese to find the furry civic robes ease. Rouse up, sirs, give your brains a racking, to find the remedy we are lacking, or sure as fate will send you packing." At this the mayor and corporation quaked with mighty consternation. An hour they sat in council. At length the mayor broke silence. For a gilder eyed my ermine gown sell. I wish I were a mile hence. It's easy to bid one rack one's brain. I'm sure my poor head aches again. I scratch it so, but all in vain. Oh, for a trap, a trap, a trap. Just as he said this, what should hap? At the chamber door, but a gentle tap. "Bless us," cried the mayor, "what's that?" With the corporation as he sat, looking little through under his fat. Nor brighter were his eyes, nor moister than a too long open oyster, save when it knew his conjugal weakness for plain eternal gleaming blueness. Only a scraping of shoes on a mat. Anything like the sound of a rat makes my heart open the hat. "Come in," cried the mayor, looking bigger, and in did come the strangest figure. His long queer coat from heel to head was half yellow and half red, and he himself was tall and thin, with sharp blue eyes each like a pin, and light loose hair and swarthy skin, nor tuft of hair on cheek nor beard on chin, but lips were smiling out and in. There was no guessing his kith or kin, and nobody could enough admire this tall man in his quaint attire. Quoth one, "It's as my great-grandsire, starting up at the trump of doom's tone, had walked this way from his painted tombstone." He advanced towards the council table, and "Please, your honour," said he, "I am able, by means of secret charm, to draw all the creatures living beneath the sun, that crawl or swim or fly or run, after me so as you never saw. And I chiefly use my charm on creatures that do people harm, the mole and toad and newt and viper, and people call me the Pied Piper." And here they noticed round his neck a scarf of red and yellow stripe to match with his coat of self-same check. And at scarf's end hung a pipe, and his fingers they noticed were ever straying, as if impatient to be playing upon this pipe, as low it dangled over his vesture so old-fangled. "Yes," said he, "Pied Piper as I am, in Tartary I fred the cam, last June from his huge swarms of gnats. I eased in Asia the Nizam of a monstrous brood of vampire bats. And as for what your brain bewilders, if I rid your town of rats, will you give me 1,000 guilders?" 50,000 was the exclamation of astonished mayor and corporation. Into the street the piper stepped, smiling first a little smile, as if he knew what magic slept in his quiet pipe the while. Like a musical adept to blow his pipe, his lips he wrinkled, and green and blue his sharp eyes twinkled, like a candle flame where salt is sprinkled. And ere 3 shrill notes the pipe uttered, he heard as if an army muttered. And the muttering grew to a grumbling, and the grumbling grew to a mighty rumbling, and out of the houses came the rats tumbling. Great rats, small rats, lean rats, brawny rats, brown rats, black rats, grey rats, tawny rats, grave old plotters, gay young friskers, fathers, mothers, uncles, cousins, cocking tails and pricking whiskers, families by tens and dozens, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, followed the Pied Piper for their lives. From street to street he piped advancing, and step for step they followed dancing, until they came to the river Weser, where it all plunged and perished, save one who stout as Julius Caesar swam across and lived to carry, as he the manuscript he cherished, to Ratland home his commentary. which was, after shrill notes of the pipe, I heard a sound as of scraping tripe, and putting apples wondrous ripe into the cider presses gripe, and moving away of pickle tub boards, and leaving a jar of conserve cupboards, and drawing the corks of train oil flasks, and breaking the hoops of butter casks, and it seemed as if a voice sweeter far than by harp or by solitaries breed called out, "Oh, rats, rejoice! The world has grown to a vast dry saltery. So munch on, crunch on, take your nunch on, breakfast, supper, dinner, lunch on, and just a bulky sugar punch on, already staved, like a great sun shone, gracious scarce an inch before me, just as methought it said come bore me, I found the lesson rolling over me. You should have heard the Hamlin people ring the bells so they rock the steeple. Go, cried the mayor, get long poles, poke up the nest and block up the holes. Consult with carpenters and builders, and leave in our town not even a trace of the rats. When suddenly up the face and the pipe of perk in the marketplace, the first, if you please, my 1,000 guilders. 1,000 guilders. The mayor looked blue, so did the corporation too. For council dinners made rare havoc with claret, Moselle, bidding de gras, pop, and half the money would replenish their seller's bigs but of Rhenish, to pay the sum to a wondering fellow, with gypsy coat of red and yellow. Besides, quoth the mayor with a knowing wink, our business was done at the river's brink. We sigh with our eyes burn and sink. What's dead can't come to life, I think. So, friend, we're not folks to shrink from our duty of giving you something to drink, and a matter of money put in your poke. But as for the guilders, what we spoke of them, as you well know, was in joke. Besides, your losses have made us thrifty. 1,000 guilders, come, take 50. Piper's face fell, he cried, no trifling, I can't wait beside. I promise a visit by dinner time, Baghdad, except the prime and head cook's cottage. All he's rich in, for having left in the caliph's kitchen of a nest of scorpions, no survivor. With him I prove no bargain driver. If you don't think I'll bait a stiver, the folks who put me in a passion, they find me pipe after another fashion. How, cried the mayor, do you think I brook being worse treated than a cook, insulted by a rival, with idle pipe and vesture Bible? Threaten us, fellow, do your worst, blow your pipe there till you burst. Once more he stepped into the street, and to his lips again laid his long pipe of smooth straight cane. And ere he blew 3 notes, such sweet soft notes as yet musicians cunning never gained in raptured air. There was a rustling, it seemed like a bustling, of merry crowds adjusting, a pitching and hustling. Small feet were pattering, wooden shoes clattering, little hands clapping, and little tongues chattering. Like foals in the farmyard and barley is scattering, out came the children running, all the little boys and girls, with rosy cheeks and flaxen curls, and sparkling eyes and teeth like pearls. Tripping and skipping ran merrily after, the wonderful music was shouting and laughter. The mayor was dumb, and the council stood as if they're changed into blocks of wood, unable to move a step or cry, till the children merrily skipping by could only follow with an eye that joyous crowd at the piper's back, and how the mayor was on the rack, and the wretched council's bosoms beat as the pipe returned from the high street to where the Weser rolled its waters, right in the way of their sons and daughters. How he returned from south to west, and to Koppelberg Hill his steps addressed, and after him the children pressed. Great was the joy in every breast. He never crossed the mighty top, he's forced to let the piping drop. We shall see our children stop. When lo, they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed. The piper advanced and the children followed, and when all were in to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast. Did I say all? No one was lame, and could not dance the whole of the way. And in after years, if you'd blame his sadness, he was used to say, dull in our towns since my playmates left, I can't forget that I'm bereft. All the pleasant sights they see, which the piper also promised me. For he led us, he said, to a joyous land, joining the town in jest at hand, where waters gushed and fruit trees grew, the flowers put forth a fair view, and everything was strange and new. The sparrow was brighter than a peacock here, and the frogs that ran our fellow deer, and honeybees lost their stings, and horses were born with eagle's wings. And just as I became assured, my lame foot be speedily cured, the music stopped, and I stood still, and found myself outside the hill, left behind against my will, to go now limping as before, and never hear of that country more. Alas, alas for Hamelin, there came into many a burgher's pate a text which says that heaven's gate opes to the rich at his easy rate, as a needle's eye takes a camel in. The mayor said east-west, north and south, to offer credit by word of mouth, wherever was men's lot to find it, silver and gold to his heart's content, if only he'd return the way he went, and bring the children behind him. But when they saw it was lost endeavor, and piper and dancers were gone forever, they made a decree that lawyers never to think their records dated duly, if after the day of the month and year these words do not as well appear. and so long after what happened here on the 22nd of July, 1376, in the better in memory to fix the place of the children's last retreat, they called it the Pied Piper Street, where anyone playing pipe or tabor was sharp for his future to lose his labor, nor suffered they hospital or tavern, shop with mirth a sweet so solemn, and opposite the place of the tavern, they wrote the story on a column, and on great church window painted, the same to make the world acquainted, how their children were stolen away, and there it stands this very day. And I must not omit to say, in Transylvania there is a tribe of alien people who ascribe the way and dress of which their neighbors lay such stress, to their fathers and mothers having risen out of some subterranean prison, into which they were Japan a long time ago in a mighty band, out of Hamlin towns in Brunswick land, but how or why they don't understand. So, Lily, let me and you be wipers of scores out with old men, especially pipers, if they should pipe us free from rats or from mice. If we promise them aught, let us keep our promise. That's a poem about Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the mayor, and the Pied Piper is Barack Obama. And the Pied Piper has come back to Hamlin to restore democracy, and he finds that democracy cannot be restored, so he leads the children out of that failed state and takes them to a new land of great promise and milk and honey and whatever you call it. And that's the story of the Pied Piper of Hamlin. It's about Donald Trump. Just letting you know. It was written 150 years before Donald Trump, but it's still about Donald Trump. So I don't know how Robert Browning knew that a person like Donald Trump would be coming along, but he knew, and he wrote a poem about it, and it's called The Pied Piper of Hamlin. It's about corrupt, undemocratic leadership. A government that does not reduce the suffering of its people does not deserve to lead, does not deserve to govern. That is the purpose of government, is to reduce suffering, in my opinion. And I just don't see that happening. I agree with Yuval Noah Harari. He knows what he's talking about. There's a guy that knows what he is talking about. Yuval Noah Harari. Check him out, guys. Great writer. I've only read his Homo Sapiens so far, but I'd like to read Homo Deus and 21 Questions for the 21st Century, I think is his other one. My first thought was he lied in every word, therefore he crippled with malicious eye, askance to watch the working of his lie on mine, and most scarce able to afford suppression of the clee, and cursed and scored its edge at one more victim gained thereby. What else should he be set for with his staff? What save to waylay with his lies and snare all travelers who might find him posted there, and ask the road? I guessed what skull like laugh would break, what crutch can write my epitaph for pastime in the dusty thoroughfare. If at his counsel I should turn aside into ominous track, Joel agree hides in the dark tower, yet acquiescently I did turn as he pointed, neither pride nor hope rekindling at the end descried, so much as gladness some end might be. For what with my whole world wide wondering, what with my search drawn out through years, my hope dwindled into a ghost not fit to cope with that obstreperous joy success would bring. I hardly tried now to reduce the spring my heart made finding failure in its scope. As a sick man very near to death seems dead indeed, and feels begin and end the tears, and takes the farewell of each friend, and hears one bid the other go, draw breath, freely outside, since all is over, he saith, and the blow fallen no grieving can amend. While some discusseth near other graves be room enough for this, and when the day suits best for carrying the corpse away, with caribou banners, crosses and staves, and still the man hears all and all craves, he may not shame such tender love and stay. Thus I had for so long suffered in this quest, heard failure prophesied so often writ, so many times among the band to wit, the knights who to dark towers search and rest their steps, but just to fail as they seem best, and all doubt was now should I be fit. So quiet as despair I turned from him, that hateful cripple, out of his highway into the path he pointed, all the day being a dreary one at best, and dim was settling into its close, yet shot one grim red leer to see the plain catch us astray. For mark, it was I fairly found, pledged to the plain after a pace or two, then pausing throw backward a last view, over the safe road 'twas gone, great plain all round, nothing but plain to horizons bound. I must go on, naught else remained to do. So on I went, I think I never saw such starved noble nature, nothing thrown, for flowers as well expected cedar grow, but chortle and spurge according to their law, might propagate their kind with none to all. You think a bird had been a treasure trove. No penury inertness in grimace, in some strange so royal man's fortune. See or close your eyes, said nature peevishly, it nothing skills, I can't help my case. 'Tis last judgment's fire must cure this place, calcine its pods except my prisoners free. If there pushed any ragged thistle stalk above its mates, its head was chopped. The bents were jealous else. What made the holes and rents in the dock's harsh shores leaves bruised as the cloth? All hope of greenness, 'tis a brute must walk, passing their life out with the roots intense. As for the grass it grew as scarce as hair and leprosy, thin dry blades pricked the mud which underneath looked kneaded up with blood. One stiff blind horse in every bone to stare, stood stupefied however he came there, thrust out past service in the devil's stud. Alive, he might be dead for aught I know, with red, gaunt, and calloused neck astray, and shut eyes beneath the rusty mane. Seldom went such grotesqueness with such woe. I never saw a brute I hated so. He must have been wicked to deserve such pain. I shut my eyes and turned them on my heart, as the man called for wine before he fights. I asked one draught of earlier, happier sights, ere fitly I could hope to play the part. Think first, fight afterwards, a soldier's art. One taste of old time sets all to rights. Not it. I fancied Cuthbert's reddening face beneath its garniture of curly gold. Dear fellow, till I almost felt him fold an arm and mind fixed me to the place. That way he used, alas, one night's disgrace, out of my heart's new fire and left it cold. Giles then, the soul of honor, there he stands, frank as 10 years ago when knighted first. An honest man should dare, he said he durst. Good, but the scene shifts. Faugh, what hangman's hand pinned to his breast the parchment. His own band reads it, poor traitor spit upon and cursed. Better this present than a past like that. Back therefore to my darkening path. No sound, no sight as far as the eye can strain. Will the night send a howlet or a bat, I asked, when something on the dismal flat came to arrest my thoughts and change their train. A sudden little river crossed my path, as unexpected as a serpent came. No tides congenial to the blooms. This as it frothed by might have been a bath of the fiend's blowing hoof, to see the wrath of its black eddies be spat with plates and spoons. So petty yet so spiteful, all along low scrubby alders kneeled over it, drenched willows flung them headlong in a fit of rout despair, the suicidal throng, the river which had done them all the wrong, whatever that was, rolled by, deterred no whit. Which while I forded, good saints, how I feared to set my foot upon a dead man's cheek, each step or feel a spear I thrust to seek, for hollows tangled in his hair or beard. It may have been a water rat I speared, but ugh, it sounded like a baby's shriek. Glad was I to reach the other bank, now for a better country, vain presage. Who are the strugglers? What war do they wage? Whose savage trample could thus pad the damp soil to a clash? Toads in a poison tank, with wild cats in a red-hot cage. The fight must so have seemed in that foul cirque. What penned them there with all the plain to choose? No footsteps leading to that horrid muse. None out of it. Mad druids set to work, their brains no doubt like galley slaves to Turk. Pits for his pastime, Christians against Jews. As far as ever from the end, not in the distance, but the evening not. point my footsteps further at the thought. Great black bird, Apollyon's bosom friend, sailed past Mavita's wide winged dragon pen that brushed my cap, chance the guide I sought. For looking up where I somehow grew, the plain had given place all round to mountains with such names to grace mere heights and deeps now stolen in view. How thus they surprised me, solvent you, how to get from there was no clear case. Yet half I seemed to recognize some trick of mischief had happened to me, God knows when, in a bad dream perhaps. Here ended then progress this way, when in the very nick of giving up one more time came a click, as when the trap shuts, you're in the den. Burningly it came upon me all at once, this was the place, those two hills crouched like two bulls off horn in fight, while to the left the tall scout mountain, dunce doddered and dozing at the very nuts, after a lifetime of training for the sight. One in the midst lay but the tower itself, the round squat turret, built of brown stone without a counterpart in the whole world. The tempest mocking elf points to the shipman, thus the unseen shelf he strikes on only when timbers start. Not see, because of night perhaps, why day came back for that. Behind it left the dying sunset, kindled through a cleft. The hills like two giants in the hunting lay, chin upon hand to see the game at bay, now stab and end the creature to the heft. Not here, when noise was everywhere, it told, increasing like a bell, names in my ears, of lost adventurers, my peers, how such was strong and such was bold, and such was fortunate, yet each of old, lost one moment knelled the woe of years. There they stood, ranged along the hillside met, to view the last of me, a living frame, for one more picture in a sheet of flame. I saw them and knew them all, and yet, dauntless a slughorn to my lips I set, and blew, child rolling to a dark tower came. That poem is about Donald Trump as well. Sorry for, I have a Final Fantasy theme song stuck in my head. I can't at that high note. Okay. That's all for me today. Thanks for watching. It's almost 6:30. My coworker is going to be in pretty soon, so I'm going to stop the stream now. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Thank you for watching. Have an excellent morning. Thank you.